As an airline passenger, you may barely notice the changes taking place over the next 10 years to improve your flight. But you will appreciate the increased safety, environmental benefits, and reduced delays as the next generation air transportation system is adopted. To best illustrate the benefits of NextGen, let's first look at how your flight, say from Los Angeles to Washington, is managed today. As your plane pulls away from the gate and gets in line, your pilot is talking to controllers in the LAX tower for critical routing information. After takeoff, a TRACON controller steers the pilot through maneuvers to rise thousands of feet while covering about 100 ground miles. At about 23,000 feet, your pilot talks to another controller at Los Angeles Center, who directs the plane to its final cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. Across the country, your plane follows other planes like cars on an interstate highway. As with cars, the route is dictated by what's on the ground. Your plane must pass over radar fixes, generally not the most direct path. And every time the plane crosses an airspace boundary, your pilot changes radio frequencies more than 25 times cross-country and makes adjustments in the flight, speeding up, slowing down, and changing direction. Bad weather over, say, the Midwest will force your plane into inefficient flight paths and keep other planes on the ground, creating delays that ripple throughout the country. When your plane begins the slow descent into Washington, your pilot steps down, levels off, and speeds up, while also moving around to safely align with other traffic on the way to the runway at Dulles. Now, let's look at how NextGen will improve your flight. Improvements kick in as your plane leaves the gate. Surface traffic management on the ground makes things simpler, safer, and more orderly for both pilots and tower controllers. For one, they spend less time talking to each other on the radio. This reduces communications errors as digital data communications, similar to text messaging, expedites clearances. The order of departure is set automatically, reducing long waits and enhancing safety. As the plane heads to the runway, pilots and controllers each have a real-time GPS map of all ground traffic with such tools as ADS-B and ASDX. This greatly improves airfield safety through a reliable shared view of the plane's surroundings, particularly during bad weather. During takeoff, precision RNAV and RNP procedures allow multiple departure paths from each runway, which increases airport capacity. This same precision gets your plane quickly out of the busy lower-level airspace to cruising altitude while saving fuel. At 35,000 feet, GPS-enabled RNAV, RNP, and ADS-B allow planes to fly closer together without any loss of safety, which increases airspace capacity. Meanwhile, aircraft fly more direct paths that account for wind, destination, traffic, and weather. Weather, which now accounts for 70% of delays, becomes less of a problem. That thunderstorm over the Midwest that causes so much trouble today will be easily handled when shared network-enabled weather information is fused into decision-making tools through SWIM. Data communications, so useful in the airport, is also useful in the air, as it reduces radio frequency congestion, errors, and delays. As your plane lines up for arrival with other planes, its place in line is planned hundreds of miles in advance. Instead of the current step-down approach, tailored arrivals and then continuous descent arrivals allow a smoother descent into the airport. The more precise landing paths allow steady descent with reduced power. This cuts time, fuel, noise, emissions, and holding patterns. As your plane comes in for landing at Dulles, Data Communications relays the runway exit point, assigned gate and taxi route to the pilot, so you quickly arrive at the gate doors, exit the plane, and pick up your luggage. As a NextGen passenger, you may notice a smoother flight, but what really gets your attention is being on time more often. You also know flying is safer and more fuel efficient, and that's what matters from gate to gate.